Certainly the speed of technology innovation is dizzying, absolutely. And some say it would be nearly impossible to keep up with that change. But there's a couple of things that you can do to keep up with the change of technology. And certainly the number one thing is to be a student of technology itself, is to constantly learn, constantly be open to learning. Number two is having a very consistent framework for how, when you learn, you capture that information so that you can later recall that. Third is to make sure that you understand what you already have, so you know what you need. And fourth, of course, is to create space. And a good example of that is, the Snapchat billboard that's on top of the Palais this year. Last year, Snapchat had one biz dev person running up and down the Croisset, and I was lucky enough to be running as well and met him. And that soon rolled out to be the first ad on Snapchat, which was Ouija for our NBCU client. And so being in the right place, making space, having conversations, being open to conversations, knowing what you have and knowing what you're looking for helps you. And then being ready to capture that, having a framework for deploying that, knowing how to find the right clients who are ready in your organization to take advantage of those things, gets you to the place where it's not a surprise that they're on the billboard on the Palais, because you were there at the first moment when you were able to capture that. I'm teaching a seminar here at CAN, and the title is Scale and Scrappy: How to Harness Both Technologies for Your Innovation Future. And it's important to understand what you have, the scaled companies that you work with. Clearly, in our business, we have brands that need significant reach, and they need significant trust and stability in their digital platform partnerships. But also they need to constantly innovate, and not the scale partners innovate for sure, but so does the new entrants that we're seeing every day, and I call those the scrappy partners. And the scrappy partners we need to think about in context of what we currently have, and we need to know how to apply those. So I'm going through a seminar today. It's about 45 minutes with CMOs or CMO types, and I'm talking to them about how you think about those partners, both of them a little bit differently, how you leverage both of them, and how you put some rigor around planning for that. Just like you would plan for a consumer strategy, just like you would plan for a financial strategy in your company, you now need to plan for a technology strategy in your company. Not IT technology, which of course always has been the case, but a consumer technology strategy, and be very purposeful about that. So that's what the class is about, is to help some of those CMO types understand how to plan for that. Yeah, so this week has been interesting. Last week I sat on some committees or brainstorming sessions to think about the new innovation sessions that they've launched this year. So it's interesting to see now that the sessions have launched, the discussions that we had last year in our rooms. And one of the biggest concerns of the planning for the innovation part of the Cannes Festival was not alienating the creatives. The festival at itself is at heart a creative festival. And so the launch of the innovation sessions themselves were innovative in a way. And so what sticks out, just tactically speaking, yesterday Audi was on stage. They were the first keynote that talked about the Google Lunar X Prize project, landing a rover on the moon. And one would think, why would that be here and why would they be talking about it? But it really affords them the ability to think differently, and to apply not just their technology in new ways, but also the way they're speaking to the younger audiences. Robotics in at least the United States and in other countries has become more and more, people are aware of it, children are participating in it, etc. And so it's a new way to speak to new audiences beyond just the vehicles they have themselves. So I thought that was very interesting as a keynote. The second one I thought that was very interesting was the Domino's case study. And I thought for a moment while they were talking in the beginning of the case study that they had gone back 5 years. I thought, wow, why are we talking about a 5-year-old case study? But in fact, it was particularly important that they went through that history because it showcased how hard innovation is. and how long it might take to fundamentally change a company that was actually not in a really good position. And it talked about all the consumer touch points, and it talked about how being brave and transparent and consistent with those messages with the consumers actually paid out over time. And it talked about how they changed from just a pizza and marketing company to what is now some on Wall Street refer to them as a technology company. And so it showcased actually the evolution of creative in messaging into more of a creative technical innovation that was necessary to talk to that consumer that we now have. And finally, I think the most interesting part of the entire festival so far is actually the structure of the Palais and where all of the sessions are. So if you notice at the Palais, in the main building, the creative sessions are in the main building as they always have been. Nothing has really changed too much. And there is a tiny, tiny bridge, actually a physical bridge, in between the creative sessions and the innovation sessions. And I took a picture of that bridge. I thought it was really interesting because what they did is they said, here's creative and here's innovation. And actually I think that I'll be interested to see how they might change that over time, because I actually thought the whole fundamental premise of the Lions Festival, the Cannes Lion Festival, was innovation and creativity, but yet they've put this tiny bridge and innovation in a separate building. And so I wonder how they evolve the content themselves as people get more and more comfortable with the blend of technology being a creative tool in the palette of creators. So I think that's the most interesting part of the festival itself.